let's just jump right in. Have you ever stopped to think if the things you do with your cat every single day are actually building trust? Or maybe, just maybe quietly breaking it? We think we're showering them with love, but our cats, they often get a totally different message. Today, we're going to explore that huge, surprising gap between what we mean and what they actually feel. And that quote right there is exactly why this is so important. It just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? The very things we assume are building our connection, the surprise cuddles, the playful pounces, could be the exact things slowly chipping away at the trust our cats have in us. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. Okay, so the problem really boils down to this: a massive communication gap. We're speaking a human language of affection. It's physical, it's spontaneous, it's all about how we feel in the moment. But our cats, well, they're on a completely different channel. Theirs is an instinctual language, and it's all about one thing: safety, predictability, and knowing their territory is secure. And that right there is the disconnect that causes all the trouble. When we act on our whims, we call it love. But from their point of view, it's just chaotic, unpredictable behavior. And that mismatch between how we see it and how they experience it, that's the root of so many of the trust issues we never even realize we're creating. So let's get into the specifics. Let's talk about some of these accidental betrayals. These are the super common, everyday things we all do, thinking we're being great cat parents, but are actually unintentionally making our cats feel a little less safe, a little less secure. First up, waking your sleeping cat for a cuddle. Oh man, we've all done it. They just look so cute and peaceful, it's almost impossible to resist. But here's the thing: cats need to sleep between 12 and 16 hours a day. It's biological. So when we interrupt that, we're not just being sweet, we're introducing a little bit of stress and basically teaching them that snoozing near us isn't actually a safe bet. After a while, they'll just find somewhere else to sleep. Okay, next one. Using our hands as toys. It feels so harmless, right? Especially with the tiny kitten. But what we're really doing is programming a predator-prey response right into their brain. We're literally training them, hands are for attacking. And once that connection is made, it is incredibly hard to untrain. It's why a playful moment can suddenly turn into a painful bite. The fix? It's simple. Always, always use a toy as the middleman. And this brings us to what might be the single most damaging mistake of all: ignoring their signals. You know what I'm talking about? The ears that flatten just a little, the tail that starts flicking back and forth, the tiny shift away from you. When we push for just one more pet, we're telling them in the clearest way possible that what they're trying to say doesn't matter. For an animal whose whole world is nonverbal communication, being ignored like that, well, it's devastating. So here's the real takeaway. It's not about how much we love them. It's about how well we understand them. And this isn't just a nice thought. There's science here. A 2020 study in Scientific Reports found that cats with owners who were really responsive to their signals had way stronger bonds and lower stress levels. Bottom line, feeling understood is everything. And this is where we really need to shift our whole perspective. For us humans, trust is mostly an emotion. But for a cat, trust is more like a risk assessment. It's this deep core belief that their world, and especially the giant person in it, is fundamentally predictable and safe. That's the foundation we have to build everything else on. All right, so we've talked about what we're doing wrong. But now let's flip the script, because this isn't a one-way street. While we're accidentally messing things up, our cats are actively trying to connect with us, using their own quiet and often totally misunderstood language. I want you to think about this for a second. You're just sitting there, and your cat walks in, makes eye contact for a moment, and then just leaves. It seems totally random, right? We usually just write it off as them being curious, but it is almost never random. There are really complex, important reasons behind that one simple little action. Turns out that little check-in is actually a behavior with like 4 different jobs. First, they're doing a territory patrol. And guess what? You're the most important landmark in that territory. They might also be doing a quick emotional check-in on you, refreshing their scent on things, or simply confirming that their safe person is still where they're supposed to be. And that last one is absolutely fascinating. It's a real psychological concept called the secure base effect. A 2019 study from Oregon State University found that most cats form secure attachments to us, a lot like how kids do with their parents. Your presence literally works as their emotional anchor. Just knowing you're in the house gives them the confidence to go explore or just relax. So when they pop in to see you, they're often just resetting their own nervous system.
And get this, they're not just checking on where you are, they're checking on how you are. A study in the journal Animal Cognition discovered that when owners acted distressed, their cats were way more likely to approach them and stay close. They physically move towards you because they've sensed a change in your emotional state. That quiet little visit when you're having a tough day, that's your cat basically saying, "Hey, I noticed. I'm here." But okay, here's the twist. It isn't just pure instinct, it's also strategy. See, every single time your cat comes to check on you and you respond, even with just a word, a glance, or a gentle pet, you are rewarding that behavior. You're part of a tiny training session you didn't even know was happening. It's classic conditioning. If a behavior gets a reward, it gets repeated. And this might be the most powerful part of all. They might have actually learned this from you. I mean, think about it. How many times a day do you glance over to see where your cat is, or peek into a room to check on them while they're sleeping? They've been watching you do that. It's called behavioral mirroring. They saw your habit of checking in, and they started reflecting it right back at you. That check-in is an echo of every time you showed you cared enough to look. So, after all of this, where does that leave us? Well, it brings us to a place where we can finally, maybe, start moving from misunderstanding to a real, genuine connection. It's about that big realization that a true bond with them isn't built on our terms. It has to be built on theirs. So let's just quickly recap the big ideas here. First, our love can actually feel like a threat when it's unpredictable and ignores their basic need for safety. Second, the random little actions are anything but. They are intentional, complex bids for connection. And finally, the key that unlocks that deep, unbreakable trust, it's learning to speak their language. In the end, it really all comes down to this one thought. Your cat has been communicating with you this whole time. They're using the subtle, sophisticated language of body posture, of territory patrols, of these quiet little check-ins. They are talking. The only question left is, are you finally ready to listen?